Hi everyone, so today we're going to be making a little plushie, a little mallard. He's so soft and so cute. And to make him, what we're going to need is I use a 4.5mm crochet hook that matches the yarn I use. I'm going to need some safety eyes, so I have those here. I have some scissors ready to go, as well as a stitch marker and a needle for sewing on later. Then for the yarn I use this one, which is the Honey Bunny. I ordered it from Hobbii, and if you want to make the traditional colors, then we'll need green for the head, beige for the body, white for the rim, and yellow for the accents, so the beak and the feet. And then if you want, you can also add some blush. So this one actually doesn't have any blush, but the one we'll make today, we'll add some blush too, so there's some light pink for that. And then lastly, what you'll need is you'll need a bunch of stuffing, which I have here ready to go. You can also use all scrap yarns or whatever you have at hand to stuff your little mallard. So let's get going. Okay, so to start with, we're gonna form a magic loop. So to do that, take 2 fingers, take your yarn, loop it around twice, and then go under the first yarn, over the second, pull it through, and then grab the yarn and pull it through again. So that's your slip stitch to start your magic loop. Into that magic loop, we're gonna do 6 single crochets. So we're gonna do 6 single crochets, and make sure the end of the yarn here is the one that pulls through. That's how you're gonna be able to close your magic loop later. And I actually find it easier with this yarn to pull it a bit out first so you don't get that stuck later. So single crochet 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Once you have 6 single crochets, you want to close the loop. So do that by gently pulling on the end of the yarn. So my one's actually already stuck a little bit. This tends to happen with this yarn. So if it's stuck, you can try to move these along independently. There we go. Now it's coming. Okay, and then now you have a closed magic loop. And now what you want to do is you want to quick slip stitch to close it. So into this first little stitch here, close your magic loop with a slip stitch. Now for the first round, you're gonna increase into every, so we're gonna be using single crochets throughout this whole thing. So we're gonna start by increasing into every stitch. In the first one, you're gonna place your stitch marker, and in here again to increase. I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. Okay, now we're back at the beginning, and you should have 12 stitches. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. You're gonna take out the stitch marker, and into the next round, you're gonna single crochet 1. So into this one, single crochet 1, and into the next one, into this one right here, you're gonna increase. So that means 2 single crochets. And you're gonna do that all the way around. So single crochet 1, and then increase into the next one. And I actually just forgot to place my stitch marker, so now I gotta go back and count. I've done 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one was my first one. I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. Okay, now we're back at our stitch marker. You should have 18 stitches in this round. Into the next round, you're gonna single crochet 2 and then increase. So I'm not gonna forget my stitch marker this time. Here is the first one. Place that stitch marker in there. this one. And do that all the way around. Okay, so we're back at the beginning, and now you should have 24 stitches around. And what I do here is I actually turn it from here to here, so I kind of push it inside out. And this beginning yarn, I just tuck it in there so it's not in my way when I'm continuing to work. Now for rows number or rounds number 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're just gonna single crochet all the way around with your 24 stitches. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 4 rows in total. Okay, so this one will go quite quickly, and I'll meet you back after you've done your 4 rows. All right, so once you've got your 4 rounds done, we're gonna switch color actually. And don't worry if you have a cone like this, it'll even out once we do the stuffing and the shaping. Okay, so to switch colors now, we're gonna switch from green to white. You can actually cut your green yarn because we don't need that anymore. So I like leaving a pretty generous length just in case I need to do a little bit extra sewing at the end. And then I'm gonna pick up my white yarn and start using that. So the way I'm gonna do it, I'm actually gonna pull the loop, but only the first loop, out of the last stitch, go back into those 2 loops of my green, and then use the white one as if I'm normally crocheting with it and pull that through. There we go. What I then do, just to make it a little bit easier, is I tie those 2 together at the end, and then I know that those are secured already also just for later for sewing. Perfect, I tuck those in, and then I begin my white row, and this is just 1 row all around single crochet. So I'll meet you back at the front. So here's the last stitch of my white. So really a normal single crochet would involve me pulling this through, but I'm not going to because I'm gonna do a color change again. But before I do that color change, I'm actually gonna add the eyes and the mouth in because it's easier to do that now than later. So I'm gonna pull a little bit here so I don't lose that loop. Make sure that doesn't go anywhere. And then I'm gonna turn it over like so. And I like to start with the eyes, so I'm gonna pick out 2 safety eyes from here. Okay, so I have my 2 safety eyes and the 2 backs of it. So if you don't have safety eyes, you can also just sew them in with a black yarn if you have that lying around. And I'm gonna go in here, and my safety I'm gonna put not on the white row, but between the one on top of the white row and the one on top. So I believe that is row 9, 8, 7. So between rows number 7 and 8. I'm gonna place this here first to make sure that it looks okay. And around 4 stitches, 4 or 5 stitches apart, whichever looks better. So I think this is actually a little bit too close together. I'm gonna put it here. There we go. Okay, I think that looks good to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the back one. So what you can also do is you can add a little bit of glue here. When I know that I'm making it for someone who's gonna be playing with it, throwing it around, I come in with my super glue and put it right in here so those eyes don't go anywhere. But for now, this will do. Then I'm gonna add blush. You can do this if you want to. I think it looks cute. So I'm gonna cut a piece of the light pink yarn, not longer than this. I don't need that much for it. Then I'm gonna go in here with my needle, but to make the blush, I like doing it kind of here, a little bit to the outside of the eyes, and then I just go in like this, and then I go in right to the other eye. It's usually a bit hard because the eyes are usually in different locations of the stitch, but I'm sure this will be okay. Okay, let's see how that looks. I then take my needle and kind of like pull it out the way I want it to be, And then, same as before, I take my 2 ends. I actually could have cut this even shorter, and I tie them together in the back so that blush doesn't go anywhere. When you tie it, don't tie it too tight because that will actually pull together your mallard. But there we go. Now we've double knotted it. Tuck that all in there. Again, you can come in with some glue to just kind of fix the blush so it doesn't get pulled through. But for now, I'm gonna leave it at this. Next is the beak. So we have yellow yarn for that. Again, you don't need much yellow yarn. So I'm just gonna cut a short piece. And the yellow yarn, I always put it into this hole, so like where the white meets the green, kind of diagonally in front of the eyes. I always go in from the end, so you can tie in the ends later, from the inside, sorry, so you can tie in the ends there. And it looks like this one would be a good place for it. I just kind of do whatever looks right. And then I go through again. And back in here. Perfect. So keep this nice and loose. Then organize the threads so they're not kind of on top of each other. Okie dokie, that looks good to me. And same thing again, I'm gonna tie in the ends on the inside here. Not too tight, but just so they can't pull through on the other side. Okay, so now you can see I already have a lot of ends. I'm gonna tuck those all in here, and then we can continue. I'm gonna go through these 2 loops with my hook, tighten it a little bit, and then because I don't need the white anymore, I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut that as well. I just find it a lot more manageable when you don't have that many strings hanging out. And cut that off here. And then take my brown yarn and do the same color change as we just had. Take the brown yarn as if you were crocheting it normally and pull that through. And I always tie in the ends right away just so that I know that I've finished them off and I don't need to worry about that later. So we'll double knot those and add them to all the other yarns that are in there. Okay, so the next row, we're gonna do a little increase. So we're gonna single crochet 7, then increase, then single crochet 7, and then increase again, and then single crochet 7, and then increase again. So it's 3 increases and 7 single crochets in between. 7. So the increase is right underneath, if you add a blush, right underneath the blush or near the eye. So 2 into this one, and then 7, increase, and that should take you back to your stitch marker at the beginning of the round. All right, we are back at the beginning, and now you should have 27 stitches. Okay, so now this is round number 11, and this one is where we're gonna be adding the little fins or flippers on the sides. So to do that, we're gonna single crochet 7. I'm actually gonna do 6 because I actually, my eyes don't line up with the beginning of the round. So if that is the case for you as well, start your chains, which we're gonna do for the arms, just on the outsides, if that makes sense. So because my eyes, if you can see it here, the stitch marker should really be here, right? But this is the beginning of my round. So because I move my sides to the side a little bit on accident, it actually doesn't really matter, just as long as your flippers, you can kind of pull it apart like this and kind of at the beginning here and here is where you want your fins to be. I can show you on this one, because otherwise you'll have one here and then one here, and that would look a little bit awkward. So I'm gonna remember that I only did 6 here. The pattern says 7, but that's okay. Then chain 3. So after your single crochets, chain 3 like that. Single chain into the second chain from the needle. So this is the first one, this is the second one. Single crochet, single crochet, not single chain. Single crochet into that one. And single crochet into the third chain from the needle. So that's this one. Continue single crocheting into the next stitch of the round. So this is the stitch that we ended with before we did our chains, and the next stitch is right here. So I'm gonna continue into this one. And that is how we made our little flippers. Okay. Then we're gonna single crochet 13. So I think I've only single crocheted 11, but again, it's because I want the flipper to start here and not further back. This is probably, again, because I kind of mixed my eyes up. So yeah. But we're back at the second flipper, so we're gonna chain 3 again, and then single crochet into the first one, the second one from the hook, and into the third one from the hook, and then you're gonna go back into that next single crochet, which is this one, and finish your rounds. I'm gonna have a lot more than 7 because, again, my stitch marker is on the side, but that's okay. Okay, so the next round we're gonna single crochet until we hit the wing, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so now I'm actually one before the wing, so there's one more single crochet I'm gonna do here. Okay, then I'm gonna lift the wing towards me and single crochet 1 underneath the wing. This will help like lift the wing up a little bit later. And then you're gonna go into the one after the wing and single crochet until you hit the beginning of the next wing. Okay, so now we've arrived in the front of the second wing, or the flipper. Same thing, single crochet into the last stitch before then, lift the wing up a little bit, and then find a loop underneath it that you can go through, normal single crochet there, and then into the one afterwards. Perfect, and now you're gonna finish the row, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. Okay, so here we are. So in this loop we actually have 29 stitches because we went in with an extra stitch under each wing, so that's how we went from 27 to 29. So in the next round, we're gonna decrease exactly this stitch. So what you do is you single crochet up until this one, and then single crochet or decrease these ones. Same with here, decrease the 2 after the wing. So now I'm arriving at my wing, I'm gonna single crochet 1 more. And these 2, I'm gonna do an invisible decrease. So go into the front loop of the first one, and the front loop of the second one, and then yarn through both of those and yarn through again, and then continue in your next single crochet. So it's not this one because it wasn't actually part of the decrease. It's a little bit tricky to see always, but into the next one. And now you've decreased 1, single crochet until the next wing, and decrease underneath that wing again. And I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. For the next round, so this is round number 14, if you're still counting, just single crochet all around. You should have 27 stitches, and I'll see you next round. For round number 15, you're gonna single crochet 7 and then decrease the 8th and 9th stitch together. You're gonna do that 3 times, so you'll be decreasing 3 times in this round. Back at your stitch marker, you should have 24 stitches in this round. And now I'm actually going to start stuffing. So I'm using just regular stuffing. I think I bought this off of Amazon. And then I'm just going to put that in there. And this is where I kind of get rid of the cone-shaped head if I have it. But just pushing it down a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna add a little bit more before the next round. Okay, so I'm gonna stuff it until here. I'll probably add a little bit more stuffing just before I fasten it off. But row number 16, you're gonna decrease every stitch. So I always do the invisible decreases. And what that looks like is here, so the first stitch I decrease, put my stitch marker in there. So there's no single crochet in between, it's all decreases, decrease again. And I'm gonna do that the whole way around until I'm back at the beginning. I'm back at the beginning of the round, and now I have 12 stitches here. I'm gonna do that same thing again for the last and final round. So again, my 12 stitches, decrease every single stitch. I'm gonna end up with 6 stitches back at my stitch marker. Okay, so that was my last row. I'm gonna cut my string off quite generously. There we go. And then I'm gonna just pull that through and pull it tight to take my stitch marker out. And then I'm actually gonna go ahead and add just a little bit more stuffing. I find that way the plushie just gets the fill, like the fullness that it needs. Okay, there we go, that's a lot better. His beak is actually looking a little bit loose, but we'll fix that in a second. Okay, so now it already has kind of that egg shape that we were hoping for. And now I'm gonna go ahead and finish off. So using my needle, I'm gonna just go through the stitches here and then pull that tight together. To really secure it, I always go through the first stitch again and then actually knot through it. And then pull that really tight and then pull it inward so you don't see it. Perfect. Okay, so that's our mallard fastened off. Then I'm gonna go ahead and cut the end of that. Just kind of push that through. There we go. Now all we need is his feet. To make the feet, all you have to do is make a magic loop. You can leave quite a bit here because that'll be used for sewing them on later. Do your slip stitch. And then you're gonna single crochet 6 into that magic loop. 6. Close your magic loop. There we go. And then slip stitch back into the first, single crochet just so you have a secured circle. And then I'm gonna again leave like a tail for sewing, cut that off. So the foot, all it is, it's a magic loop with 6 single crochets. So I'm gonna make another one and then we'll sew them on. Okay, so now we have 2 feet. All we need to do is sew them on. So what I do is I go underneath the eye and then kind of let them point out the front like this, a little bit to the side. There we go, just keep going up and down through each of the stitches. Okay, so I finished sewing on the second foot, and then I actually tied together the end, so the beginning of the magic loop and the end of the piece I'm sewing with, and then just pull them through. Okay, so once you've pulled through all your yarns and hidden them inside, then your mallard is done. If the mouth is a little bit loose, you can always kind of tuck it in with your needle, and you can also put like a drop of glue in there and just kind of tuck it in. But there he is, he's so cute. So thank you for watching, and I hope the mallard turned out the way you wanted it to. Bye!